space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim. With me, of course, is Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
In human form. I'm undercover for Section 31.
Ooh, Section 31, which everybody
I'm not
knows
going to say
about.
That.
That's all right. Everybody knows about it, including Riker.
I think everyone's in bloody Section 31 now.
There was a very brief period during DS9 where people didn't know what it was, but at every other stage of Star Trek history, people did know what it was, and I think that's canon now.
Thank you. That saves a note for later.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. But first, we do have some Trek news, which is all the renewals and stuff. So, Season 2 of Strange New Worlds is coming on June the 15th, and it's been renewed for a Season 3. Lower Decks is coming late summer at an unspecified time, and has been renewed for a Season 5. And Prodigy is coming back in winter with Season 2, but it's really Season 3.
Right, so it's been renewed for Season 3, but really Season 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I was very much, when I saw that, I was like, oh, God, we only got 3 new Star Trek shows now. But it's like, yeah, we've already had 2. Like, we've already had Picard this year. We already had, well, have we had anything else this year? Is Picard the...
Picard's the only one this year, I want to say. Was Discovery this? No.
Discovery.
So we've already had 1 new one, so it's really 4 this year.
Yeah.
And Discovery's still finishing off next year. I don't think we're going to run out of Trek, and I think we are going to get the announcement, like you've suggested, Jim. I think probably at the end of Picard. I'd be very surprised. I think they're going to try and rush a sort of sequel, Star Trek Legacy to Picard, which they mentioned.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's going to be greenlit in a hurry.
I think that's a bit like how we got Strange New Worlds was greenlit very quickly after Discovery Season 2.
Yeah, and let's look at these.
That's sort of like what they're doing is they're going, we've had Season 1 Picard. Some liked it, some didn't, not so much. It was a bit...
It was an uptick, but it was still, very Marmite, yeah. Yeah, and I really think with the way they've laid out...
Well, I thought Season 2 was good. Could have been a good thing. But I think after this, I think people are really into Picard Season 3. You've even got the Phantom Menace liking Picard Season 3.
Whoa!
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the way that, like, they've done it really quite well that I didn't see it coming, but they've really populated a whole new crew. Like, you've got all the next generations of the next generation. You've got Jack, you've got the Voyager sisters, you've got 7 of 9 now is stepping up to a sort of new role within the show as opposed to Voyager. Obviously, Captain Shaw is the breakaway success. Everyone loves him. He's so well-rounded. He's such a grumpy asshole, but he's good at heart.
He's also very dry as well.
Yeah, he got some good lines in these episodes.
If you like us from Yorkshire, you can really get a dry sense of humour.
Yeah, and he's just a grumpy guy. I love him, but it's the way they've given him so many layers that is just perfect. He is so ripe to helm a new show. And say 7 with as first officer, you get the other guys in the crew. Perfect.
Yeah, like potentially is a supporting actor overshadowed by the next gen crew in this series. How they've built him has been really clever, really well done.
Yeah.
If you can stand toe to toe with those legends, like not only in the show but in real life, fair play. You've earned your position more than.
And it's one where after episode 1, we were just like, this guy's a complete arsehole. We can't wait to see him get his comeuppance. And they obviously wanted you to feel like that.
Now we're talking about him being captain of a new show.
Yeah, it's very, very clever how they set up his arc and his character and everything. So,
can I also just shove in a little bit of a news update from just very quickly? I know it's like a couple of weeks ago now, but I just quickly want to give a shout out to everyone at Sci-Fi Weekend. Not only doing the live episode, but it was just an absolutely wonderful event. I don't think we've got time to spend a lot of time on it, but
it was nice
Chase
to
Masterson.
It was nice to people who took the effort to come see us do the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, hats well and truly off. And
it was before anything started, and people made the effort to be there, which was really nice.
Yeah, Chase Masterson was absolutely lovely. It's one of the only times, and I've got mixed feelings only because I want to ask her a few more questions. I think we all did, but it's like she kind of asked about everyone else, which just showed what a lovely person she is and how much she cares. She could tell stories about herself every time, but every time she asks questions to people, she's going to hear something new. And I appreciate why you want to do that, why you want to get to know people, and it brings out different stuff. So that was really cool. And also, I might be helping her with a little project, which is kind of cool.
I thought
well, you were there for it, Jim, didn't you?
I thought it was really nice though what she did there with the meet and greet, because normally meet and greet, you just get them sit down and they go, "This is what I'm doing," and all that, and they'll tell you a different story to what's been on stage. But it was really nice where she was asking you, she was trying to get to know you, which is actually meeting and greeting somebody.
Yeah,
true,
completely.
And I think we were all disappointed though, because she was doing that cough thing that she did when she's hitting on Bashir in DS9. You know, she's like, "Oh, I've got a tickly cough." Turned out she actually had a tickly cough, and
and
we were all disappointed.
I had to answer some serious question to events organizer why Dr. Squee was trying to operate. I mean, geez, okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was I meant to do? I thought it was like the Bashir thing, like you say.
Exactly, but there you go. So no, she was great, and it was great to have a Trek guest. So if anyone from Sci-Fi Weekend is listening, we would like more Trek people. You promised us Robert Picardo, you promised us Denise Crosby, you promised
us Marina
Sirtis, and we know the whole COVID thing happened, but please, come on, can we have a word?
Bring them back. Yeah. You've got the context, bring them back in.
So we better crack on with these episodes, because due to various issues last week, we weren't able to record, so we're doubling up and we're covering probably the two most packed episodes of Star Trek that we've had to cover. So we may be here sometime.
Let's not talk euphemistically. Like, I pull my dragon tail. We had to take a week off. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know about you, Squee, but I've got a list of things. I know James has got a list of things. And this is just from the bounty. You have got a list of things.
Do you know what it takes for me and Elliot to bother our asses making notes and not just leave it to Jim? That's how good these episodes were. That's how good.
Exactly. I can't believe it. So we are looking at, first of all, Imposters, and then the bounty. Oh, and we'll talk about what next week's episode's called a little bit later, because that throws up some...
I don't know if you've noticed, but quite a few of these have two names to episodes.
Good thing.
I can't remember what Imposters is called, but it's been getting called Night at the Museum a lot.
Ooh.
It's been
That'd been a good alternative title,
in a lot of the sort of like press cuttings and all that for it. On the internet, a lot of them have called it the night at the museum, obviously because of Georgie looking after the museum.
I wonder if that was like the working title and they changed it last minute. So I've seen that happen a few times with various shows over the years.
I've noticed it a lot this season, where if I'm reading articles afterwards, and they'll have a different title for the episode, and I'm having to go back into like the Amazon on my Prime to actually look at what the episode's called to confirm that it actually is what I think it is. Because
I mean, it would have been a cute joke, but I think you always want to keep it in the universe. I think it's not like Star Trek doesn't really do jokes on pop culture and stuff. So I'm glad, but I love it as an alternate. I love the fans are coming up with these.
I mean, I am worried. This is the problem with there being as many episodes of Star Trek there are. They will run out of titles eventually. There's far too many.
Jim, I love you, but shut your whore mouth. There can never be too many episodes of Star Trek. I'm sorry, but
no, just titles. They'll just have to start reusing titles, so we'll get Encounter at Farpoint 2 and we'll get Encounter at Farpoint.
Or Unification Part 3.
I was about to say they did do that.
Unification 3, and over the last season we've already had Kobayashi Maru, and No Win Scenario in 3 different shows. So
I'd also like to just put in plea to Admiral Elliot. Like, obviously Jim is the captain of the good ship Retrek, but Admiral Elliot, as an admiral in Starfleet, I'm sure you can do this. Could you please have a word with the writers that just on this one series, I know I've said so many times that it's so nice these days they can do 10 series, perfect arcs of series, and the limited amount of episodes does help it. Could you just put in a good word to add, go in and reshoot 5 more for this series, just for this one, just for this. So this one I think could handle it. Well,
the aspect, let's be fair. If they do Star Trek Legacy, there's the opportunity to bring them back as guest stars, the ones that survive, because they have said that not everyone will survive.
Yeah, I don't think they're all making it out.
Yeah, I've got a theory who's going to go next week or possibly the week after.
Oh, you think it's going to be that quick?
I hope it's not.
I think we have to lose a major one next week or the week
Well,
after.
We'll save it till the end then, but I hope it's not a bloodbath that they start just culling the whole cast because it's the end anyway. So, Imposters then. Jack kills everybody. That's the start of the episode.
No. The start of the episode is glorious, and I sent you even a video of this.
You did.
Bloop, 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 bloop. It's the classic Star Trek bleeps, which they have been so true to the legacy of Star Trek with the look and feel of the Titan. The transportering looks gloriously like the original series. It harkens back. But yeah, those little blips to open the episode. It just did my heart good. They just gave a second just for that. There was no particular reason. And that's
how, if I remember correctly, that's how Star Trek 2009 opens, just with the noises before we zoom in on the Kelvin.
Lovely.
But yeah, Jack goes on a big murder spree on the bridge, but it's all a dream. But he's still holding a phaser. And also, we get this, it says, "Come home, Jack." So, here's my theory. We're getting a crossover with the Steven Spielberg film Hook. Because
Run home, Jack.
Run home, Jack, home run, Jack, all that bit. So I'm putting it out there. If that happens, I said, we could have Rufio. Rufio were good. He were good, wasn't he?
Yeah, we could have Rafio.
Yeah, get him in with his skateboard and stuff. He'd sort out these changelings. Anyway,
come together.
So that's my theory. We'll find out a little bit later on. And now my gripe. I bitched about this last time when Picard did a log entry and it was like 649.10 and it's 6.9 whatever it was. And it's not a decimal. And Riker does it this time, acting captain's log, 0.03. It's like, no, there is no 0.03. It's a decimal. It's one decimal place.
It was very nice to open, or very near the beginning of the episode, to have another captain's log. Like you were saying, it's like we had the admiral's log the other week. We got the captain's log. It's just so nice. Like these little touches of what we
exactly. And then, the setup then is Starfleet are on the way. And I really love, like we were talking about Shaw, and this is great, where they go through all the business and I stand relieved, I relieve you. And he does this sort of knighting 7 thing where I reinstate you. And then he's like, I'm going to leave you, get all your bullshit stories straight. It's just brilliant.
Can I just pick up on that? I'm going to leave you 3 together so you can get your bullshit story. Bullshit story. So I just love that. I feel like that's how Liam Shaw says, I love you. Like that's closest. That's him reaching out.
I think that's the nicest he could. I think that's the nicest he could be to them in the situation. Yeah. That he'll give them a chance to get a bullshit story together.
Because I've got a theory that he wants to like them. I think he wants to like these guys, but he can't. Like it's conflicting with his past with Picard, obviously, because
I think there's that, and I think he is still trying to toe the line So he's kind of like, I'm going to do what Starfleet says, but I've got a bit of grudging respect for you now. So
exactly,
I'm going to let you cook something up so that you've got a decent story for when they get here. Now, this is something, and this may be me going way too deep into nerdery, which, God forbid on a Star Trek podcast. I was
going to say welcome.
There's a bit where Picard's talking to Jack and he's trying to convince him to go into Starfleet. And he says, many a rebel have found their way to Starfleet. Now, in my head, and possibly in my head only, he's referring to Mackenzie Calhoun from the New Frontier books, who is a rebel on his own planet, and Picard meets him and convinces him to join Starfleet.
Well, I think this ties in there. It sort of ties into the episode of who we're about to get as a security officer.
Well, yes, it does. Don't spoil it, though. In my head,
I didn't spoil it. I didn't give you any spoilers. I said the security officer we're about to get. I'm leaving it a few minutes.
He wasn't saying spoilers.
Reveal.
So I think what Jim was saying, it wasn't spoilers. It was don't spoil the fact that it could be Mackenzie.
Yeah, it's talking about Mackenzie Calhoun, and now all the New Frontier books are canon, including, we'll get to it in the next episode, but in the New Frontier books, there is an evil tribal gerbil hybrid that turns out to be a crime lord. And we're drifting into that territory.
I just like to throw in that I think it's really nice that this is the first time. I know there's a reason that Picard feels guilty, and I think that's part of the reason he doesn't push check. But I also think there is something purposeful to that. He plants seeds, but he lets him get there on his own time. He's not going you should join Starfleet. He's not trying to push his agenda. He's just maybe you could be more. And he goes, no. And he goes, you know what? Okay, fair enough. I'm just going to walk out. I'm not going to push the matter. It's just so nicely done, I think.
It's good, and it sort of harkens back a bit to the whole Cisco and Jake Sisko thing, where it was a big thing that Jake was like, no, I don't want to be in Starfleet, and Cisco was like, what? Everybody wants to be in Starfleet. But, they moved past it. But it's good that there are things you can do in this world other than Starfleet, which Star Trek did have a bit of a problem with, particularly in the Next Gen era.
You sort of had that with, because this is almost like a... during the last season of Next Gen, where he thought that kid was his son previously, but it was younger Picard, and he was pushing him a bit more. He did want him to be in his own image. Now this is a Picard which is matured, so you get a second take on that with his actual son, where he's not pushing. He's not. Maybe he even learned, he remembered that experience. Maybe that's part of what led him to not push so much.
It could well be. It could also be that he's like, I haven't really got a leg to stand on, so I quit for 20 years when I rage quit over the whole Romulan thing. So
all I'm going to say is I think this is better than the other week, or very early on in the series, where he's like, you've got a son. Well, it didn't work out though. He was very dismissive. This is so much more Picard feeling.
Yeah, I still think that was
a very knee-jerk reaction, wasn't it?
It was, but it's the way Picard would knee-jerk react.
I was up to say I think that was very out of character for Picard. What we saw there.
Yeah.
I think his pride was hurt a bit, and he was trying to just dismiss it at the time and didn't want to deal with it. But I do like what they're doing here, because obviously there's echoes of Kirk and David Marcus, but we're getting so much more screen time to explore it, and it's great.
But if you take the but in the same episode, he had already talked about how he had learned from series 2. He obviously didn't word it like that. I learned in season 2 that I could be a better dad. He said that, and then the second later he's just dismissing his own son. Those two things don't really fit together either.
I still think he was doing it more to avoid discussing it than that was how he actually felt. But anyway.
Fair play.
So Worf and Raffi then, and people are already talking about a Worf and Raffi spin-off. Who knows? I love the sparring. I love Worf's meditating. And, it's just good fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
There is one I want to go back to in a second. After
go for it.
Oh, sorry. It was just the elevator scene or lift scene,
that is so funny.
Sure. No, I just like to I've written down exactly what he said, because So these are a list of things which Captain Shaw, when they're going, it's like, hope, like, because Picard and Riker are basically saying, it's like, hopefully they'll remember that we saved the universe a bunch of times. And then Shaw's list of gripes, which they wouldn't. It's like, crash the sorcerer section. That was Troy, not Picard. He wasn't even on there. Snogged a villager on Baku. Strange it was in their log, but okay. I mean, it's weird that Picard said, and then I snogged her. It was really nice. It sounds like that episode of Extras.
And he did he did at the end of Insurrection say that he was taking all his leave to go be with her for some time.
But he didn't have to put in his log because I snogged her.
Well, he probably hasn't snogged her, but
I was really good at snogging.
I think Shaw's saying that's not like how he's playing it.
No, Shaw's just a super fan. He's got Insurrection on DVD and he's watched it.
He's bought his own Amstrad Air joystick.
His third example was caused a time anomaly in the Devron system. That was Q. How did Starfleet know that how did they know when it was all deleted at the end? And how honest is Picard in these logs? Because he's obviously written that in the log, even though he said to his senior crew that he wouldn't tell them what happened in the future, but he put it in his official file, which
that's fair point.
I mean, it's just it's just the three examples which they gave Shaw, none of which apply to Q or to Picard, or would be known by Starfleet. It's just
they are odd choices to zone in on, but
you've got so many things which he did do, which is on record, like which you could bring up against him.
Yeah,
good point. Briefly with Worf again, then he says, "I've got a contact," and he brings up this big list. Morn's on the list. Liquidator Brunt is on the list. And it's like, don't tease two DS9 characters. Secondly, don't tease Jeffrey Combs and not deliver on him. And then he goes, we'll pick Krillic or whoever he is, the one you've never heard of. And it's like, I like a good Easter egg, but don't dangle Jeffrey Combs and take him away like that.
And not producing.
Again, just to knock out notes from later in one fell swoop, it's like, later on in the episode, Picard goes, we could contact Admiral Janeway. Oh, no time for that. It's like, damn you, don't do that to me.
Don't do that.
I'm expecting to see Admiral Janeway before the end.
I think she will.
Well, it's so easy because they've already got her for Prodigy. She's
and
already...
I think also they're doing so much better in this series. In the last two, I didn't even notice it particularly because it was Picard's story, but we really haven't given justice to the legacy of 7 of 9. Like, they had her interacting with the Borg, but not her Voyager past. Doesn't, it kind of tangentially gets mentioned. This really celebrates it, which is really nice. She deserves that. She deserves, as a member of the Picard crew. And I think they do a better job. So even mentioning Janeway is kind of a little nod to her past, as well as a very big nod we're going to get in a bit, which I won't spoil.
Yeah. And so, the Intrepid arrives. And the Intrepid's got quite a cool design, like the way the nacelles are attached and everything, and the main body sort of comes from the nacelles rather than from the saucer. It kind of looks like a butt plug, if we're honest. But anyway, you know, one of them double ones.
I will bow to your expertise.
Absolutely, mate. And the security officer comes on board, and here's the big reveal. It's only Ensign Rowe, or Commander Rowe, as she is now. And they kept this very, very, very secret. Not a whiff of this. They didn't spoil it in the trailer.
No. I didn't see any press leaks on it.
No, nothing. So well done on that. One thing I do have to mention, and I'm in no way commenting on anybody's appearance or anybody's choices in terms of what they do cosmetically. Michelle Forbes has always had a very distinctive beauty spot, mole, whatever you want to call it. And it, to me, it's just something that makes her very recognizable. And she seems to have had it removed. And to the extent that I sort of did a double take, like I didn't recognize her immediately because something that's so distinctively part of her face has...
I did explain it to you in our little chat what had happened.
You did. Can you explain it for the benefit of the listeners?
It might spoil what happens to her at the end of the episode.
Okay. We're assuming if people are listening, they've seen the episode.
We're going to talk about it.
So my theory on where a mole or beauty spot has gone is she's had it burnt off by a plasma explosion in a shuttlecraft.
There we go. And it's that plasma explosion created a reverse time wormhole, and it's.
If we're
and I've watched enough Star Trek to know that these things do happen.
Absolutely, they do.
There's 2 points to that. One is, well, we're speaking of her appearance in the show. Just a big hats off to the makeup people. I think the shading and the
nose
incorporating
ridges
of the nose, really good. It was really subtly done. It looked a bit more natural than in the previous series, which is no discredit to the DS9 or Next Generation makeup people. It's just how makeup's moved on, I think.
I just think regression,
but it
of what
just
we could
looked
do with
amazing.
makeup and
it was really well done
and stuff.
And the cameras as well. The fact that we're filming these in high definition now, whereas they were filmed in high def but weren't broadcast in high def originally. So it looks great, especially when you consider things like we talked about in Discovery, that like the coloration of the Orions seemed a bit off and things like that. Whereas, you're right. The makeup's spot on.
And while we're just because I had nowhere else to throw this in, so while we're here, I just quickly want to mention as well. I know there's a bit of controversy around women and plastic surgery being talked about and how we talk about it. There was a huge thing online. One thing, I don't know why in this episode, like it just clicked in me. But when I was watching Crusher on the show, I'm going to be very careful how I say this because I'm not against women. What they do with their bodies, their own shit, nothing to do with me. Like if perhaps Gates McFadden has had a little bit of work done, which I kind of suspect she might have done. I'm not dissing it. However, given that it's in the future where potentially you wouldn't see if someone had such surgery, it just occurred to me this episode. And I'm not dissing, I'm just starting the conversation that I feel it took me out of it a little bit.
So what you're saying is hashtag cancel Gates McFadden.
Yeah, I hate all women. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, that was
it.
And I just I'm putting it out there. I'm just curious what people think because I do think it is noticeable. She looks different to how she did previously. I don't know why in show that. And okay, of course, like that's unavoidable because if that's happened in her life.
Yeah,
she isn't expected her life.
Have you seen Scream 6 with Courtney Cox? Whoa!
No, it was that the 6, the latest one.
The 6 is the latest.
No,
one.
I haven't seen it. No, but yeah, but that's in today's world. Like she was a TV star.
No, exactly.
So it makes sense that would have happened to the character as well.
It does. It makes sense in context of the character. Absolutely, yeah.
And that's what I've been saying. That I just thought it was interesting.
No. I appreciate the point that you're making. And, we could get onto the whole thing of, why are men in Hollywood allowed to age naturally, whereas women feel they have to.
Yeah, and I would say the same with Picard. If Patrick Stewart had surgery and it was noticeable, I would say exactly the same thing. It's not I might have had surgery, it's just noticeable that in context of the show, that doesn't totally make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But maybe it was another plasma explosion.
There you go, plasma explosion.
Beverly's been off the radar for a long time.
All the plasma explosion's fault.
So Beverly then, I like what this show did with this, because she goes, I want to examine the changeling body, and straight away my alarm goes on, goes, whoa. No. Straight changelings don't have a body. What are we doing? You're ruining the continuity. You've ruined my childhood. But when she goes and does the autopsy, we get an explanation for it. And I really, really appreciated that they held their hands up straight away and went, we've introduced a concept that we know is going to get your heckles up, but here's the answer to it.
They mentioned it last week, didn't they?
They did, and I was annoyed about it last week.
No, last week when it was a body, I think they said it's like, why isn't it reverting back to its form?
Maybe, I can't remember.
I have a theory on this that fits all in with canon.
Here we go.
Odo, the Great Link made him a solid.
They did.
And I reckon if these are changeling tourists, they must know how to make a changeling into a solid. So they're doing it to themselves. But because they know how it's done, they know how to do the procedure backwards, forwards, whatever. They've been able to take it just so far to solid that they can hold the shape and organs, but they can still transform, which also explains why they're sort of like a fleshiness when they're in the sort of moving about form.
Mm-hmm.
And it all fits in with canon.
It does, but I still think you have to have a little bit of an evolution of what they can do, only in the fact that this changeling could change between forms and be a solid human. Whereas previously the way it was done was in the Great Link, and it was a one-way thing. He had to go back to Link to be restored or merge with another changeling.
Yeah, but the thing is that he didn't have all knowledge of the Great Link. No, so the Great Link have kept this knowledge from him. When they've made Odo solid, they've withheld the knowledge of how they've done it.
No, I get that.
But because these have been in the Great Link, they've got the knowledge of how you do this procedure to a change.
I'm with you.
And they're able to control the level to which to do it, and they can reverse it on themselves as well.
If they could have always done this, why wouldn't they have been doing that from day one when they...
I don't think it is something they could always do. I think it's something that the Great Link as a whole have come up with as a punishment to Odo, and they've worked out how to do it, but the terrorists are now using that knowledge.
Yeah, they've effectively weaponized it.
They would have
and also it goes against what the changelings normally are, that they're against being solids.
Yeah, but I think there's also a thing whereby, because if they could do it after the moment they did it to Odo and not previously, then they would have just done that from that moment forward in DS9. So I think they still would have had to have perfected the technique between then and now, is what I'm...
but they've had like 20 odd years to perfect it.
No, I'm saying... Yeah, so what I'm saying is there is some evolution required those 20 years.
Definitely.
That's all I'm saying.
My theory is that's where they've got, where it started, where they've been able to do it from.
Yeah,
because
it fits into canon.
It does. No, I like that.
Instead of it being some sort of new magic power that they never had before, we have seen them become solids before.
Yeah, they just.
I used to like it when Spock did that in the original series, where it'd be like, "Oh, well, what you don't know, Captain, is the Vulcans have an inner eyelid."
And what you don't know, Captain, is I can mind meld through a brick wall.
Yeah.
Did you ever see there was this comedy show? It's very short-lived on Sky. It's when they got the rights to show all the Star Treks at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a comedy show, which was, I think it was mainly Star Trek based, but they might have had some other stuff. There was one bit where they were going, it's like every time they were having a conversation about what Spock could and couldn't do. It's very similar. And it goes like, yes, because Vulcans always get 2 puddings, and Vulcans don't have to turn up for one. Or it might have been an Eddie Izzard sketch, one way or the other. It's one of them.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit like the time when Worf got his back broken, in it. Klingons have 2 of every organ.
Just very quickly, Susie Eddie Izzard, as they are now known.
Yes. And Ro then, so Picard's fuming, and this is great acting from Patrick Stewart. I mean, it's always great acting from Patrick Stewart, but he really gets to get stuck in this one. And Ro goes, okay, I'll prove I'm not a changeling. I'll do the cutting myself thing. But she doesn't let the blood drip off of her hand, and that's the whole point in the blood test.
Yeah.
Was that it has to separate from the body because it will then revert to its liquid state.
Although, can I just give a hats off to her? As opposed to in Deep Space Nine, they would always just cut right across their hand. She just doesn't. She just does what she needs to make it bleed.
Yeah, I never got why the Klingons did it. 'Cause they're very dramatic, but it's like just get one of them things that diabetic people have, where you just little pinprick and just bloop.
Yep, that would be pussy ass me in the future. I wouldn't.
But no, it's
not that.
So I know.
Slice yourself open.
It's not that.
Because
after that.
The point of this is meant to be enough to convince Picard to the point that when Beverly sends the message, he questions it again. But he should be questioning it anyway at this point because she hadn't done it properly to begin with.
Yeah,
agreed.
Anyway, but the conversation between Ro and Picard is, I mean, all their interactions in this episode are fantastic, but where it starts off this very standoffish, she's trying to interrogate him, but he's just wanting to know how she got back in Starfleet.
Yeah.
And
he's calling the road. She said, no, you will refer to me as Commander.
Yeah.
it's one of these great examples of where they're both right. They've both got good points, and they're like, everyone's justified in their arguments. She's right that he abandoned her and didn't try and see things from her perspective. He's right that she did betray her uniform. They both got really good points, and you just like the pathos later, where it's just like this was 20 years wasted when they could have had each other in each other's lives. It was one of those characters where I didn't know I needed a resolution. It was like, oh, it's a bit weird that she was written out pretty quickly, and I know the reasons why and everything, but it's like I didn't know I needed this so badly, and it was perfect.
Yeah, if someone had said at the start of this season, we're going to devote nearly a full episode to Ro, I'd have been like, that might be a bit of a waste considering what everything else we've got to do. But no, she's phenomenal. And the way they use her to drive the story forward and to get all that emotion out of Picard is brilliant. And it's just really well put together, the whole thing. So he notices she hasn't got her earring and he uses that to have a dig at her. And then obviously we find out the reason she hasn't by the end of the episode. And it's this really beautiful moment. It's just such clever writing.
Yeah. And actually, it very quickly reminds me of like when you've got the bit with Crusher when she's doing the autopsy and you've got the doctor from the Titan next to her, like where this is so well justified. I thought it was weird because like they had one episode, like the first episode when you had the Crushers in sickbay, she was so antagonistic to her. And then suddenly, just she sees her doing one operation, she's going, besties! It's like, whereas this was so well earned, that seemed weird that she stood next to her, being basically her Ogawa now. She's now her.
I thought that was weird. It's like, so Beverly's just in charge now, fine.
And the fact that you hated her to begin with, and they really didn't have any dialogue for the doctor saying, oh, actually, no, she's really impressive. Like, there was nothing. Yeah,
it's just like, you do the autopsy because, I'm only the chief medical officer and currently work for Starfleet, whereas you've been off the grid for 20 years. That's fine.
Yeah.
Back on the planet, then, we've got a Vulcan gangster, which I love how he justifies it. Well, you always get lawless societies, so it's logical.
Yeah, in any utopia, you need a criminal element.
The only thing I would say is, like, I felt when he was we saw that it was a Vulcan that we were going to be dealing with as this new baddie, low league baddie. But it felt like it felt like it was meant to go somewhere. It didn't quite, because it's like there was no big reason for him being a Vulcan. They did throw in a few lines. But it's
I think the big reason for him being a Vulcan was that he was able to anticipate Worf's traps on him. And he'd circumnavigate. Because he realised that Raffi was a hologram. And then he also had somebody actually knew where Raffi was and already there with a gun to the back of her head.
And I like Worf's face when he realises that the Vulcans realise he's just like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I don't know. When I first saw it as a Vulcan, I thought it was going to play into it a little more.
Yeah, because I thought you got very much that classic sort of like James Bond villain trope where he was explaining what he'd done. What you didn't think I'd realise that you had a mobile emitter. You didn't realise. Think I'd realised that she'd be up there with a sniper rifle.
Which mobile emitters? Good. Jesus Christ, how much have they nicked that from the future? That's not meant to happen until the 29th century. Now they're just like water. Christ's sake. I mean,
that's Section 31 for you, isn't it?
There you go, Section 31. The famous Section 31. They even have a gift shop that you can go in and buy the black com badges.
You can buy the black com badges. They're right next to the mobile emitters, which you can just get.
So Picard and Ro on the holodeck then. This is just brilliant. Like how he sneakily turns off the protocols. And he pulls the gun on it. It's Guinan's bar.
I like how she goes, keep your hands above the bar, and all it does is pulls up two glasses, but he's already switched them up. And that's right. Let's stick to the top shelf.
He was practically Bond in those moments. I totally agree. Yeah, I made that.
And it shows that he's got intent to harm, if not kill, Ro at this point. It's just such a great prickly side of Picard, and this shouting match they have that culminates in them saying they've broken each other's heart, and then it's like, right, So the pain shows we must be who we are.
Yes.
It's just brilliant.
And he just got the way they did I did like the way they kind of laid in that, you got your urgent medical report, which Ro probably would know that he's got Irumodic syndrome. So probably it didn't need to be said.
But he doesn't anymore because
he's now a synthetic.
Oh, of course he is. So why has he got a medical thing then?
He hasn't. He was lying.
No, but Ro would know that he's a robot.
Well, I think, though, they did say that his body will still die the same way a human body would. So it's conceivable. It's just he doesn't have Irumodic syndrome.
But he won't have Irumodic syndrome.
Okay. But it could have been any medical emergency.
All right.
What was sillier about that is like, oh, this is Private Ro. And she just stands there still looking at him. And then this big fuck off text comes on the thing. And it's like, there's no way she could have done that.
I was sort of thinking about this, and I'm thinking, has a great big fuck off text just come up and there's no way she can see it?
Yeah.
Or have we got to zoom into a console? But they haven't made it obvious it's a zoom into a console.
Yeah,
so it just looks like there's a big fuck off text.
It reminds me of those cache points where they say to make sure you protect your pin, and you've got a screen which is like that big. Like it's like everyone can see exactly how much we're drawing. Hate those. Yeah, it was the equivalent of that on Starship.
I love this. Is totally on a tangent, but I love it in restaurants where the waiter will come and give you the chip and pin machine. And they make an absolute song and dance about not looking at your pin. So, like, they turn completely and stand about 3 foot away from you.
And then they come back, look at it and go, this is where you enter the tip if you want to.
They do the holding it out, don't they? Like that?
Yeah, it's like, oh, come on. I believe you're not looking at my pin. Anyway, so, yeah, I love all that with Ro. I do feel like, and I know we've discussed how the first season, some people liked it, some people hated it, but I do feel like the way he's reacting to Ro is very much in character with what he was like in season 1, because in season 1, you've got this guy who's got in a paddy, basically, about Starfleet, gone off and wasted 20 years of his life out away from something that he loves.
I would never do. Sorry.
But he would, because you're happy with the thing with Ro, and that's very much the same thing. It's just very stubbornly keeping out of someone's life that he could have been in. I think what we're getting here is a microcosm of the arc from season 1, and I think, if anything, it adds credence to the Picard we see in season 1.
I'm just saying, I believe that we saw it. He gets shirty with someone who betrayed the uniform. I think that's very consistent with the Picard we've seen all throughout Next Generation, let alone Picard. Him taking 20 years off, I just don't think he would throw a hissy fit and throw away that uniform for which he is so enraged.
Well, he did. He did. We've seen it. It's there. Worf then. Worf keeps, a couple of times, he mentions, I have sacrificed much for this mission. Do we think Alexander has died off screen? Oh, no, he's talking about something that he sacrificed that he cares about. So, no, sorry, forget about it.
Nice to know. I just thought during this duel, would it have killed them to play a few lines from Amok Time?
That'd have been good.
That's all we were missing. This was such a badass scene.
Now I've been playing Klingon music a few times though for him.
They have, yeah. They've had the do.
Yeah,
did anyone think Worf were dead?
No, this is why I think it should have been Raffi.
Yet.
They should have fake killed Raffi because
that's not happening for a couple of episodes yet.
Oh.
I don't think he's going to die, but I think what they should have.
I do.
It's where they've had the training earlier on and they've shown that he's the better fighter. I think it would have been nice if you'd fake killed Raffi. I mean, okay, we probably would have known she isn't dead, but it's more likely she's dead. At least I might have had a bit of doubt. When it's it's like, well, they're not going to kill him like that. Raffi, where they've been getting rid of the new Picard crew members, I kind of would have believed they might have killed her off. It's slightly more believable.
Well, it was quite funny. So I was watching it with Chloe and she was like, oh, is Worf really dead? And I was like, no, he's probably doing the Dachach technique. And then a scene later, he goes, I have done the Kalos death meditation. I'm like, yes! That's what I said you were doing.
Again, this is a great example of how they perfectly aged him. He's in a different place, but you can see where he came from, the Worf we know to where he is now.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the first series with Picard, to be frank. I like the fact they've learned from their mistakes when it comes to series 2 and how they've evolved the characters. Even the portrayal of Riker, even though it was fairly true previously, I think it's really true to his character now, even more so than when he was in season 1.
Absolutely. And then, there's the lovely moment where Ro gives him the earring, and just the expressions on the actors, there's just like so much love and regret, and it's just a masterclass in facial expressions that they do there where she passes it to him.
We should also just note that if anyone had "Today is a good day to die" on their bingo Star Trek card, it was ticked off. We need all those touchdowns. Sorry, Angela. I thought that was really nice too. With the earring. The only thing which I didn't get is when, in a bit, Picard goes, I don't know why she gave me this earring, which we just talked about how much it meant to both of us and how much it was turning point in a relationship. Why would she give me that?
It's so Riker can go, well, actually, it's an old spy trick.
All you had to do was say, it's like, she gave me this. It really meant a lot to me. Wait a minute, maybe she gave it to you for another reason as well.
It'd have been good if Riker had gone, I think I know, and he puts it on the scanner and it just goes, and he goes, oh, fuck knows then.
I just think he would know why she gave it to him. There are so many obvious reasons why she would give it to him as a sentimental thing. Yeah, I know.
And then obviously we get Rose's sacrifice and everything, and again, just fantastic acting with Patrick Stewart, and I see you, Ro. I'm sorry it took me so long, and it's just excellent stuff.
Right, Ro is section 31. Did she really die? Yes or no?
Yes. She died. It doesn't mean anything if she doesn't die. It would ruin it. It would so ruin it if she didn't. I'm sorry.
We did see Sloan there being away when he was phasered in.
True.
No, I'm not saying there isn't. It's way possible. But I'm saying it would ruin it thematically if she didn't.
Yes, it would.
This episode would mean nothing, or it means so much less. Sorry, I shouldn't say.
Can you imagine if, for example, they'd killed off a main character twice and brought them back
a third time? That would just be such weak sauce.
It'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be mental.
Stay tuned for the second half of the show.
I just want to read out just Rose Lane. All these years, I'd wish you'd known me and I'd known you. Just a line like that, give me that every time. It's just such great writing, such pathos, the way they've staged it, just beautiful.
Yeah, it's excellent. I also love, just from a special effects point of view, the bit where it shows the Intrepid sort of like rising up above them and kind of bearing down on them. It does look like a bird of, not a Klingon bird of prey, but like a bird of prey, a predator. Yeah. It's just brilliant. It's really scary and intimidating.
And the way this is so well put in that if you hadn't had the fact that she was doing it to disable the ship, not just to get the bomb away, because if it was just to get the bomb away, she could have gone out into an EVA suit, as we've seen before.
But
put it on autopilot, but she needs to be there to pilot it into the ship, because otherwise they would have just shot it down if it's an autopilot. Yeah. So it was really nicely layered. That it's kind of it's geek proof. We can't. I want it to be, so I can't argue with it, and they did it.
She's realised that the Intrepid is massively compromised when as part, and she's literally saving Picard with breath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Jack fucks up some changelings. And I know we're gonna get a bit of an explanation next episode, but I do not buy it. Iremodic syndrome never made Picard turn into Kung Fu master. And,
Also, it makes no sense to the voices he's hearing, and also the vines growing. That's got nothing to do with that.
There's something has been done to him. That he doesn't know that's been done. And I don't know if he's maybe a changeling that doesn't realise he's a changeling, or if he's a synthetic or what. But something has been done to him to alter him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to nip out for 2 secs. I need the loo, but carry on. I'll be back.
I'll quickly vamp on that. I thought it was really nice because it's like it gives you an in-character or like a reason for them to not worry about it for the moment. It gives you those moments between him and Picard where they get to evolve their relationship, but we know it's not solved really.
Yeah, but he's either been brainwashed massively, or it isn't actually Jack, it's the replacement.
I think it's got to be Jack for it to matter.
Because it's like, why are they chasing him so much?
It's
just
muted
strange.
Jim ways away. Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I mean, for me, it's just again, if it's not Jack, then you've just discounted everything they've done to further the relationship. So I think it's got to be him.
I'm sort of going on the brainwash, but something has been done to him outside of his knowledge.
Oh, Jim, I just muted you because we could hear you talking to Chloe. So you have to unmute. I had to mute you because we could hear you. You have to unmute Jim. I'll do it. How do I mute him? Unmute.
Hey!
Sorry, it's just because we had the massive clanking of your door. Then it's like, hey, yeah, that was great, or whatever you were saying to Chloe.
She was telling me that the dog has eaten some food, so that's good news.
No, we're very happy. I thought we'd rather hear it from you than you in the background where we don't know what the fuck.
No, that's fair enough. So where are we up to?
Oh, we just what we're talking about.
Like, either Jack has been replaced,
and
it's not really Jack, or Jack has been massively brainwashed.
And my argument is it has to be Jack for all the stuff with their relationship to matter. Otherwise, you discount all that. So it's got to be Jack. But I think, or maybe he has got a link to something we haven't found out yet. Maybe
it looks like he almost goes into autopilot when he's shooting them guys.
And he's a symbiont or synthetic, a bit like Picard. Maybe
that'd be interesting.
Maybe it's been done to him by Daystrom or something. That's why they have Picard's bones and all that.
I have like the bare bones of a theory about this, but
bones of Picard,
yeah. I think maybe after Picard was rescued from the Borg, there was still some Borgy shit in him that he's passed on to Jack, and somehow this is being triggered, and the changelings want to maybe create like a Borgy changelingy hybrid thing, and that's why they steal Picard's body to get the Locutus DNA.
And that's why they want Jack for how it integrated.
I just
and that he can control without being assimilated.
Maybe.
I've had an idea. Because of what we're going to see at the end of the next episode, maybe because it was a female voice calling to him, maybe it's something to do with Troy because of his psychic powers and everything. I don't have a full theory on this, but I just thought it's like she might be able to send him messages, and maybe if she's been trapped, maybe that's when she was picked up by the Shrike. So he's
I was thinking there where you say females sending messages and they come home. That's very much a Borg Queen thing. Come home.
Yeah, you see, I thought about that as well. So I don't know.
I think you might be onto something there. I was thinking the only reason the bones could be taken was for Borg tech. Otherwise, nothing else makes sense.
Well, I must admit, in previous series, when they were giving us mystery box after mystery box and not explaining them, it got so tired and you just lost faith, and it proved that they didn't know what they're doing by the end of series 1. I'm sorry, it just did. Whereas this, I have so much faith because they have opened mystery boxes and they've explained what's in them. They've actually given us some small teasers on the way to the big reveals.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, it's different showrunner for this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And then he does go and ask his mum for help. He says, I think there's something wrong with me. You're like, good. Because one of the things that most annoys me in any TV show is when you've got characters who have a secret and they have no earthly reason to keep it from the other characters. And it just ekes out the conflict. And I know we've got a lot of Supernatural super fans out there, but whole seasons of that show could be shortened if they just bloody talked to each other. They never do.
Yeah, but they've got to fit in 26 episodes a season.
True.
Yeah, that's all.
So, Squee, you were a big fan of Riker's line about not liking being on the back foot.
Yeah.
What did you think of this at the end where it's like, they're coming after us? Who is? Everyone. Did you like that?
I mean, like, I kind of, it's the weight of Starfleet. So that one kind of, that was
it's not everyone, though, is it, Riker? It's not everyone.
That's hyperbole. There's a difference between hyperbole and absolute bullshit, which is the one place in the universe I don't want to be is on the back foot. That just means, that isn't a hyperbole. That isn't a metaphor for anything. Everyone's coming after me, then means the weight of Starfleet. I get that.
Okay. I just thought that might have.
I had no problem with everyone.
I didn't either, but I thought Squee might have done. But anyway.
That one's justified.
Having said that, let's go straight into the next episode then. And everyone is looking for them because we see Starfleet looking for them, then we see the Shrike looking for them. So everyone who matters is looking for them at the start of this next episode.
All we need is a Klingon and a Romulan thrown in as well.
Yeah.
What we have to start with, though, is on the Shrike, we've basically got this scene from Austin Powers where you've got like the self-aware extras. It's like you've got a guy on the bridge going, it's like, but come on, like everyone else is just dead quiet. He's going, it's like, oh, but I don't think this is a good idea. Have you not been watching the rest of the, like, have you not noticed who your captain is? You know he's going to die the second he talks. It's like, idiot. Or she
does do a very good, like, Shakespearean monologue, though. You know, I mean, I didn't write any of it down, but I will burn it to cinders and I will obliterate we will do that. It's great.
And she is the queen of the weird delivery. I absolutely love. She says Picard every time. Not even Jean-Luc says. Jean-Luc never says that. And like in another episode, she goes, "We'll get him." Like him? Where did that come from? But I love it. I don't know why it's so electric. But she says words in such a weird way. It just it draws.
I love it when you get actors who get handed a role and they go, "Yeah, I'm going for it with this. This is what I'm doing, and I'm doing it."
They've obviously gone to her. You are the baddie. We loved you in Pulp Fiction. Bring that.
Yeah.
And have fun.
It feels like everything from Nicolas Cage. It's when actors give such big performances. It's such a big swing for the fences. It's either going to knock it out of the park or it's going to be so ridiculous it's just going to fall on the ground. But you have to be brave to make those big swings. So even when, like someone like, say Nicolas Cage, even when he puts in a performance which doesn't quite work, he's tried something. He's made a choice. And I respect that, even if I don't love the performance in that particular film. And she is one of those actors, she will always swing the fence. And actually, I can't think of a film I've seen her in where she doesn't land it, to be fair.
No, she's great, Amanda Fuller.
I'm just waiting for her to come out with the line at some point in this where I'm going to kill every last motherfucking one of you.
I mean, she's not far from it, to be quite honest.
And actually, I prefer it when, like, her swearing, I think, works much better. Whenever Picard does it, it just doesn't feel right.
It doesn't
feel right, does it?
When he lands an F-bomb, it just doesn't feel like it belongs in the sentence.
No.
If you want to see... If you want to see Patrick Stewart swearing, there was that American show he did a few years ago where he was just a grumpy old English guy and he turned the air blue in that and it was really funny and it was great, but because he wasn't Jean-Luc Picard.
One of my bosses does that and doesn't realise.
That was it.
One of my bosses does that and doesn't realise he's been sat behind me today and he's been quite busy and opposite he's going, "Fucking hell, this has fucking done this today. Fucking hell, get in there."
I mean,
it's just how he talks and don't realise.
And it is character specific because Riker it kind of works for. When he swears it, I don't even notice it really because it suits his character. And also, I love the note.
It's fine with.
Yeah, it feels like to me. I think before he filmed this series, I think Jonathan Frakes watched Nick Nolte in 24 or like 48 hours and another 48 hours, and just has taken on that note of like, "Oh, I'm too old for this shit. Oh, I can't." Like he's so he's doing everything, but it's like he is a bit too old for this shit. Basically, his kind of note in this.
Definitely. And so we get most of the crew reunited. So we get Worf and Raffi arrive. There is a little nod to the relationship with Seven, and it looks like they are still together, but we're not going to spend hours on it, which I'm
not
happy
sure,
with.
yeah.
I don't
I
want.
didn't think they were together.
I think
thought that-
the way
I
she
thought-
says, "Hey, you," and then Worf says, "I have been into battle with lovers before." I think they're still together.
No,
Yeah, but they're
because
lovers who are
then-
in argument.
But then the sort of Seven cut that off. That no, they're not. And he went, well, and he goes on about breakup.
No, Seven
Breakup
says,
She's not
Murders.
going.
"Yeah." Seven says, "I'm not going on the mission," and he's like, "Oh, good."
Yeah. So it is still ambiguous, but for me, I
Yeah.
thought it was when she goes, "Oh, it's great to be seen." It's so awkward. It doesn't feel like they're together at the moment, which I'm a bit annoyed about because we've already covered that in.
We
two
did
series.
like that was the whole arc last season was getting them back together. So
Yeah.
it's like you
I mean,
know, either do it or
love
don't.
I'd love it if they're not doing that, but I think they are. I think they are saying that they're not.
I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, but anyway. Then we get a classic TNG briefing scene where we've got everyone sat round the briefing table, and Picard has an excellent use of the word burglary, which
Oh, that is brilliant when he goes, "We're going to do burglary." Riker straight away. Excellent use of the word burglary there, Admiral.
To the point where even, and this is more proof that I think Liam Shaw wants to like them. It's like even he, who's given whole speeches about how rubbish these guys are, he's like, yeah, fair play. That was an excellent use of the word. You know, he just gives us a little word where it's like, even he can't help but like give respect to that wordplay.
Yeah. No, he's kind of like a new kid at school trying to hang out with the cool guys, and he doesn't quite fit in, but he's slowly kind of building his way up. And they should make him an honorary member of the bridge crew. I know he's the captain, but you know what I mean? They should give him a little badge. They should give him Wesley's acting ensign rainbow jumper at the end and go, "Liam, you are now part of our crew."
Oh, I did just want a few things which we've kind of gone past, but just very quickly, I'll just read out the notes as they are. Jack being a dick in the bar is quite fun, and antagonism feels real. Playing off Picard's grief, that's kind of quite nice. Fucking Worf's in the house is one note. Worf sassing Shadow Picard as sour mead. Just lovely. Just nice little character beat for no reason.
Yeah.
That's nice. And I kind of want hugs all around. It's like it's only Worf gets a hug from Bev. I think it in the Klingon mold for him to give a big bear hug to people. That's very Warrior. It doesn't feel like it's being soft.
Yeah. And that you're right. That scene with Jack is good, where he's talking about, "Oh, you passed me on shitty genetics and blah blah blah." And obviously, that's going to come in later on in the episode. And I know you've got a few thoughts on that conversation when we get there. But
yeah, the only thing I wish they'd kind of done is they put this first scene an episode before, because it feels like the setup and resolution is way too quick. Like this. You've got a whole series. The beauty of having a series which can have an arc across the series is you don't have to do everything in one episode.
True.
And his journey from being pissed with him to forgiving him was really quick. Like,
I do like where he says, "Well, how did you survive Iremodic syndrome?" I didn't. And it's like, a bit harsh, Picard. You could have sugarcoated that for him a little bit.
Yeah, so
I fucking died.
Well, he wants to be a bit of a twat to him. Picard can give a little bit back.
Yeah.
And I saw. I'm sorry, I was just going to go back to the Worf riddle when he is talking about the relationship. I love Worf, the relationship guru. He goes like, "I'm going to battle with loads of people in a relationship." Oh, no, she's not coming with us. It's like, oh, thank God, this would have been a shit show.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I like Riker and Worf sort of banter throughout the episode. Like Riker's trying to wind him up, and Worf's not biting. He's like, "You used to come back at me when I said stuff like this."
The only thing with that is like there's a later scene which again we'll put some stuff together because we've got a lot to get through. But the later scene where they have a line each, which is mildly combative, and Raffi's like, "Whoa, break it up, boys!" It's like, really? Like, if you're going to do that, they have to be a lot more angry at each other for her to break up.
Again, I just read that as her getting in on the banter rather than a serious like.
I think it was a bit like trying to get a bit in on the banter, but also we've only got an hour. We haven't got time for arguing. We actually have to get on with business,
or even pretend arguing or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
It just felt like the same as my slight gripe with the episode where Picard was holding court in 10 forward.
Yeah.
And every story was just one line. It's like, well, if you've got Picard telling a story, you want Picard to tell the story. If you don't have an argument, or don't bother with it. Like, you just have a bit something and nothing to have two like little argument pieces, which I think they're going to pull on later as a reason why Worf's with him. If you're going to set up, is all I'm saying.
True. Good bit of foreshadowing where Sydney says, well, short of being invisible, we can't come back here. Store that one away somewhere.
Have we got to the Daystrom?
Yeah, we're just about to, because this is where my notes just turned into a word followed by an exclamation mark, and it just all goes a bit crazy.
When they first beamed down, you know the voiceover, which you also hear right at the end of the episode, which was quite nicely done in the Daystrom Institute of the automatic voice thing.
The computer.
Do you guys remember the audio book, specifically the audio book of the crossover novel?
Because I read the novel, but I never listened to the audio.
This is one where they put in Bones,
Bones, Scotty, and Spock
from the Next Generation time.
Mm-hmm.
And on the audiobook, they've got this voiceover in, I don't know if it's a Daystrom Institute or just a ship museum, but they basically nick a ship from there. It might even be the Enterprise they grab. But I just remember they went in there and the voiceover was like, please remember to take all your trash when you're leaving the Daystrom Institute. And it really was reminiscent of this. And they even had a bit at the end, like they do in this, of right after the story, after the credits and the Manchester Audio produced this thing. And then right at the end it goes, and please take your rubbish with you when you leave the auditorium. It was exactly the same as this.
Well, we have it where it comes out with please no drinking as you walk around.
Which was, the lines were very similar. It was like what I was saying the other week when Worf was giving the computer game voiceover to Raffi's fight, which was very reminiscent of Klingon. I think they have given a bit of honor to these side canon things.
I think, well, they definitely have, because they're doing things with, like, from Star Trek Online and all that. And,
but I think the audio and computer games.
But this series has just been Easter egg after Easter egg, and this series is fan service. Yeah,
it wasn't exactly the same line, but it was similar enough that I'm sure that is a purposeful
tip of the hat to it. Yeah.
Very well, I love it.
Deep breath then. So on the Daystrom station, we've got a Genesis device.
No, we've got a Genesis 2 device.
We have.
Dun, dun.
Which is
a
reference to the Gene Roddenberry failed pilot, now credited as being a TV movie from 1973, Genesis 2.
So there we go, as well as obviously a reference to Wrath of Khan. We've got Kirk's body for some reason.
Now, this is very strange. Like, there's been all sorts on the internet this week. Oh, we're going to get Kirk coming back.
No, we're not.
No.
Was this
happening?
Because was that when you had these thing of the original series?
When it shows the body, that's Kirk's body.
It's Kirk's body. So they've gone back to Viridian 4?
3 or 4, yeah.
Viridian 4.
And dug him up to put him in, like, Section 31.
Which does make me scarily remember the William Shatner novel, The Return, which I really hope that's not where we're going.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man.
That's what I was thinking. Like, there's no reason to put him in as... You might go back and dig up his bones, dig up his body to give him a proper Starfleet funeral. I could see that. But why would you dig up his body there to put him in this sort of like top secret Section 31, unless the return happened and he did get assimilated by the Borg, and he is full of Borg's technology.
So the Shatnerverse is now Star Trek canon.
Actually, or maybe it's foreshadowing. Maybe what they're giving you they're making you think that it might be a return situation. However, what we're going to do is have a reanimated Picard versus Picard, like the evil Picard, which has been taken from 631.
That could happen.
Robo Picard.
I mean, a lot of the theories that are knocking about how we're going to see Locutus again before the end of the season. So maybe
I did feel like
There's
you were saying earlier.
There's all sorts of way out theories at the moment because of this.
Yeah.
This was a further, though, proof of Section 31 being just as common as air in this thing. Because, when they go into Section 31 in the data industry, it didn't seem particularly well hidden to me. That's all I'm going to say.
No, but
it had a sign that said Section 31.
Yeah, ask us how.
You've already covered reasons why they could have Picard's bones, but there'd be no reason to have Kirk's bones, unless it's something to do with genetic leftover material through being in the
Nexus.
Nexus.
Well, he's been in the Nexus. He's been through the galactic barrier. He's super aged and then got turned back. Or maybe it's something like they keep all of the heroes of Starfleet because they might want to clone them someday or something. I don't know. There's also an attack tribble, which I love the attention to detail that Worf is freaked out by it because, of course, he would be.
But this one makes perfect sense from the Star Trek short. What's the trouble with? Is it?
Oh yeah. I can't remember, but I know which one you mean.
Where it makes them into meat eaters.
Yeah,
and they're massively ravenous compared to what we normally see.
It also gives us why there was a war between the Klingons and Tribbles, because all we've ever seen is they just multiply a lot, which Klingons don't like them, but I still don't think that's the best kind of. I don't think the Klingons would be overwhelmed by that. But if you've got tech Klingons, that makes a lot more. Sorry, tech Tribbles, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think that what's the trouble with Edward?
So yeah, something like that.
Where he's genetically altered them because he wants to use them to eat for meat, but they're reproducing and eating a lot more fiercely and actually eating people when they were vegetarians in TOS.
And it sort of evolved to something which was kind of like a bit of a joke, really. The Tribble Klingon war. Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense they would have these tech tribbles. It would actually be a pretty badass fight now.
Yeah. And then we get a crow, which is a fairly deep cut because it's a reference to the episode where Data gets the dream thing installed. So that's
such a deep cut. But the second I saw it, I knew exactly what I knew it was Data. I knew straight away. It was such a gift to the fans, and if you didn't know, great, you get more surprise, which is nice,
And the music, which Elliot called way back in episode 1, is Pop Goes the Weasel, and it is Data trying to reach out to them.
Oh my sweet lord! And when you saw the Encounter at Farpoint clip, even I've seen the HD versions of the Next Generation; they look amazing. But this is clearer than ever. It looks even better than then. Like how they've touched it up, looks amazing. Because if you put the original footage in there, not cleaned up, how shit would that look? Like, the technology they can use to match it to new. Is just above.
I was a bit funny with this when they put in that original footage. I don't know if it needed it.
I liked it. It was nice to see.
It
was. We saw classic Riker without the beard. We get to see Data, and then it goes to Data now. It was nice.
Well, we've only seen Riker without the beard in season 1 and Insurrection.
Yeah, that's true. So also, I like that this fixes a stupid line of dialogue in Nemesis, which always bugged me, where you had Riker saying, first time I saw Data, he was whistling a tune on the holodeck. Oh, what was the song? What was that? It's always bugged me that I'm like, Riker would have remembered that.
Yeah.
And so my headcanon now is Riker was just having an off day in Nemesis and he can remember the song now.
I think he's missing his friends, so the trauma hit him in that moment.
Yeah. Like, I feel like this is a little dig at Nemesis going, no, Riker had remembered that, and we're going to show you that he remembers it. So, bugger off.
He can even name the notes properly.
Exactly, yeah.
So, the thing I want to question is, so we've said before that it was really great how they've kept Ro a secret. One thing, if you're going to have Moriarty in it for just one scene, which it looks like that's where they're going, it was just
he's done now.
Why reveal it in the trailer? That really
because it was a red herring.
I think that's it. I think they wanted the fans to go into meltdown with theories.
You got Moriarty revealed, and then we've had the end credits all the way through, and it shows like like we got it last week with the row one where the safeties are turned off on the holodeck. But they showed, so holodeck activated, 10 forward, safeties turned off, Moriarty. So you've got right through till like 60% of the season. And there's fan theories, how's Moriarty going to fit in?
No, I agree. But what you could have achieved that by just putting in the credits, not putting in trailer. Putting in the trailer sort of, for me, took away the power of that moment. Like, he was on screen for basically double what we saw in the trailer. And it wasn't a surprise anymore. Yeah, but how wonderful would that surprise have been? And how much could you have upped the fan speculation if you just had it in the credits going Moriarty loaded or whatever they say in there?
Yeah, true.
And that's the only clue. It would have,
I just
like,
think
we wouldn't have known if he was going to come on or not.
I just think with how many things there's been in this thing, this season, and people brought back from Next Gen, etc., that I just think it's a nice little red herring that Moriarty isn't a danger or anything. It's not actually Moriarty.
I love that too. I'm just saying, it's like when you've got so much in this series that you can put into a trailer, which is going to get you to there. Why spoil that cameo as opposed to, as I say, in the credits? That's wonderfully. I love the way they've done the credits. And you, after the fact, you go, shit, that's that, and it's got everyone guessing. And we weren't guessing about Moriarty because we knew he was coming aboard, and we didn't know how he was going to be used.
I agree with you. I wouldn't have put him in the trailers personally.
It's like the trailers we've got.
If this is all he's used, it shouldn't have been in the trailer.
Yeah, which I think it will be.
Yeah, and I don't think after seeing this, it would make any sense to use.
No. But I honestly think it's just been a red herring.
It's like,
I think that is what it was for.
Oh, it is. Yeah, sorry, I should have said. I do know why they've done it, and they wanted to bring bumps to the seat, but I think they had so many other ways of doing that. And it's like in the trailer for Flashpoint, where you see Michael Keaton. It's great to see Michael Keaton, great to see the quick flash of the Batmobile, but you could have saved him going, "I'm Batman" for the actual film. Like,
that's because
things I want saved.
To be fair, with the Flash film, they need to throw as much at it as they possibly can to distract you from the fact that Ezra Miller's the Flash.
But if you hadn't, just to finish that point, if you hadn't had that line in there, would it have made you any less excited or any less distracted from Ezra?
I don't know, maybe.
Right. Can we please, once and for all, stop calling this the Flash film? This is a Michael Keaton Batman movie. And the Flash is a side character that happens to be in it.
Well, talk to DC. We do not have that power.
I hope that's true.
We get it done, yeah.
So, carrying on with my list of exclamation marks. Ships. Do you want to talk us through the ships, Elliot, once we get to...
Oh, this is your time.
Are we going to the museum or just the ships that are here?
Let's do all of it. Let's just do all the ships in one go.
Can we actually start, before you even get to the ships, can we start on the look of the station?
Yeah.
Just the fact there's a classic mushroom.
Yeah. And they've used that a few times now for different things, which I really like.
Yeah, that was great. Sorry, and now you.
Right. So we have at Daystrom Institute comes to attack them to how do you pronounce it? Akira class.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is the USS Steinbach. Rick Steinbach finally got a ship.
Hey.
My buddy Rick Steinbach.
Yeah.
You can catch my interview with him at DougTheScreen.com.
I've watched it a few times. I've chatted to Rick Steinbach myself. He's a lovely man.
Lovely.
He's amazing guy.
So
and he designed so much in the Star Trek universe is because of him.
And so much beyond. Like, he would be a legend just for his work on Star Trek, and he's worked on everything else as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, we lost Elliot for a second.
Right. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we've got you.
Here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You just paused for a second.
I could hear you all that time. Right. So then we go to the museum. So the ships that we can make out coming in, we can see Defiant class, a TOS Connie, a refit Connie. We can see an Intrepid class, original Intrepid class from Voyager. We can see a Bird of Prey. We can see NX refit. We can see a Constellation class, a Romulan Rawbird, and I think it's a D7.
Yeah, there's a Klingon battlecruiser in there, yeah.
Yeah. And then later on, we get it confirmed. We have the USS Defiant. It's just fan service.
Yeah.
And the way they go through the ships when they're going through the, let's face it, they're just going through the hits. They don't feel the need to chuck in a few others. The first time when they show the Yorktown, because so they could, is the Yorktown the one which was the?
No, they call it the New Jersey.
New Jersey, sorry. Yeah, they get the New Jersey in, which is so you get to see the original. What the Enterprise looked like, and then you get the Enterprise, then you get the Defiant, then you get the Voyager, then you get everything. You get everything you want to see.
Well, we get the Defiant, which is a hero ship. Or like you say, we get the USS Jersey. We can't have the original TOS Enterprise because it got blown up.
And I'm glad they didn't try and flange that. Good.
But we get the USS New Jersey, NCC 1975, which is the birthplace and birth year of Terry Matalas, the showrunner.
Nice, I'll give him that. I mean, to be honest with you, I would like the Yorktown just because it's mentioned so much in the original series. But that's a quibble. I'll give him that. If I was show running, you would get.
Also, there's theories that the Enterprise A was the Yorktown.
Oh, there is. Yeah, it was repurposed. Yeah.
Let's face it, if I was running the show, the the USS Dragon would be very prominently featured. I can't help but give it to him. Of course, he's going to do that.
Some people have said, well, this proves that Strange New Worlds and Discovery take place in a separate timeline. No, it doesn't. It proves that the Enterprise has another refit after Strange New Worlds that makes it look like that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
So
the Enterprise has had many refits.
So carrying on, we then get the Enterprise A, which is Paul. Anytime Enterprise A is on, that is porn. That should have an 18 plus certificate on the screen.
It's even beyond the fan service, which I expected. Like, I didn't expect them to give me the Enterprise. I didn't necessarily need it, but I loved it.
I did it.
Thank you.
It's not something I realised. It's not something I was expecting or needed, but when I saw it, it was that's something I want.
What would have made it even better is if Seven and Jack had gone, shall we go get a shuttle pod and fly around it for 8 minutes?
And then have it going into an anomaly where we're going to play music for a further 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I've kind of got to give it to them. After they gave me the Enterprise A there, and then they teased they might go off in the Enterprise A for a minute. I'm like, they're not gonna. Okay, fair enough.
I think we're gonna get the Enterprise E because there's a bit in this where it's gonna be an Enterprise because they say, what about hangar number?
True, what I've heard is you do.
The hangar is where the Excelsior is.
Okay.
And I was talking to James just before you joined you came on screen, and I think having the Excelsior there proves that. And I'm sorry to say it to all the George fans, but Sulu was a failure because it never managed to fly it apart.
There is that. I mean, I'll just give you the one thing I'd heard is that apparently we see the Enterprise E being decommissioned, and then we see the F.
No, that's
no, but some people have said that you see.
No, you know.
They said no, I know. I accept what you've said that we've seen that it's the F in the show, but some people have been saying so maybe we see a decommissioned E at some point because
I'd be happy to see the E at this museum.
I would as well.
So maybe that's because some people were saying that we see it decommissioned, but maybe we see it decommissioned past tense.
Well,
that's it.
So after then we move on to the Voyager.
No, it's the stuff. Isn't it Defiant next?
No, Defiant was first one that the show.
Because there was a bullshit article I couldn't help but click. It was the giant freaking robot where they're going. It's like the Discovery and the Defiant and the Voyager are seen, but they're different. It's like you got a couple extra lines in high def, you idiots. Like, I think there are a couple of lines extra on the bottom of it, and you've got the license plate number somewhere on the Defiant where it wasn't before. Oh, fuck off. It's just in high def. It looks
You know what?
great.
Refits is always the answer.
Oh yeah, exactly. But we didn't see them right at the end of their life. They could let a cover extra little bits done.
I loved when we got the Voyager on screen in Seven Coat, and Jack's like, I don't know this one, but it looks beautiful. Which is it? And then Seven goes, "That's my home. That's where I was really."
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah,
she made her name further out than any of these have ever been.
I love the fact they gave her that line, because the thing is, okay, Voyager was maybe not a perfect show. Maybe it had some episodes which we all know. But it's like I think they don't make enough of it, and it was nice that she got to make a moment of. Yeah, like we went further than anyone. That was what we got to do. This is our ship. Yeah. And again, it's what I'm saying about like Seven getting her moment, which she hasn't really got.
I really like that.
Yeah.
But we also get the HMS Bounty.
Yep.
And I love the little story that Seven comes out with. It took them ages to find in San Francisco Bay. It disappeared because the cloaking device had re-engaged.
Yeah, I've got a question about that. But how long can a bird of prey live underwater, like both cloaked and soaked? Like we see it getting waterlogged at the end of the film.
We do.
I mean, Jesus, that's a bit of engineering. So I'm saying, fair play the Klingons. They build them to last.
Like, I'm not being funny, but if you can go down roughly, it might be invisible, but you can go up to it and physically touch it still.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard to find.
I think Seven's a bit exaggerating when she said it took them ages to find.
I mean, get the metal detectors out.
I thought it was a nice little touch.
The finding it, I didn't have a problem with. It was just weird that it's been at the bottom, and we, as I say, we see it getting waterlogged in the film. That's a tough ship. Like, if it doesn't rust one bit, and that's, I mean, okay, they could do some touch up, but Jesus.
I think it was already rusted before it
took them ages to dry it out. That's why there's no more kitchen roll in the 25th century. They had to use it all to.
Yeah, they used a bounty on the bounty.
Another one we see that is finally canon. We get the NX-01 refit.
Yes.
When they're flying in, which would have been what we'd seen in Season 5 of Enterprise if it hadn't been cancelled. So that's nice. That's finally canon.
Mm-hmm.
We see a Romulan warbird as we're flying in. We see a Constellation class. It's not disclosed which one it is, but we imagine that it's a Stargazer.
It must be the Stargazer.
Because why? Like, when you throw in so much fan service at this, like these ships are, why wouldn't you have it been a Stargazer?
I wouldn't be surprised if an earlier script didn't reveal it was and have that included in the lineup. But then they're like, we have to pare this down somehow.
Yeah. And obviously we get the, like we said, the Klingon ship. And I think that covers all the ships that we see.
Fantastic.
There are a couple of others, like we see, is it Nebula class the same as what rescued them at the end of Generation?
Yeah, there's
a few in distance that we can't make out very clear, but it looks like a Nebula class and a couple of others. So
yeah, there's a few like the ones from First Contact and stuff like that in there. But yeah, it's just.
Fortunately, they've not thrown in any of the Frankenstein ships from DS9.
No, thankfully not. Though I have got a lot of models of them.
I just like to throw in though. I like the line from Jack. All that, just that little bit alone, which leads to that lovely moment with him and Seven, and it's kind of really nice that it felt right that he couldn't hear a lot of the stuff which she says from Picard because it was too close to raw. But when she says it and there's that little bit of distance, that worked really nicely. Very well plotted. It shows the wisdom that she's earned over the years between Voyager and now. Just lovely bit of writing again.
Yeah.
It was just really nicely done.
And then Geordi then comes back into it, and he's a bit sassier than we remember, which I actually like this because I think Geordi was probably the most one note during TNG. It wasn't LeVar Burton's fault, but it was a very bland character at times. You know, we've took the piss out of Geordi quite a few times. And I like that they're giving him something a bit meatier to do, a bit so he can do some more acting. You know, it's great that he's got this. I want to defend my daughters. I'm not happy about this, Picard.
Yeah. I like how he is. All our missions, everything we ever went through, I never feared for my life the way that I feared for the danger of my daughter.
Can we just also throw in, he comes aboard and he talks about when that microsecond where he's beaming, he decided between the hug and just telling you all to go to hell.
A Kurt handshake.
And still, only hugs Crusher. Why does no one else get a hug in this ship? Why is it only Crusher gets all the hugs? It just seems mean.
I think it's a timing issue, innit? I think if it was like how they make movies now, 2.5 hours long, and have hugged the entire crew.
True.
That have lined up down the corridor like when Neelix left Voyager and come down the line. Look, I've never met you before, but it's lovely to see you. How you doing, me old China? Let's move our feet a little bit.
The whole relationship between him and his daughters as well, and like it does make perfect sense that he's saying it's like back then. Yeah, we put our lives in danger every day. That's fine back then, but now I've got family. Now I'm an old man. I will get court-martialed the second I help you. He's thinking like, I like the fact that it's a bit more complicated than in the next generation or any other iterations. Pretty much the second they go, hey, you're an old crew member friend. Let's go. You know, they don't.
He's like, no, I'm an old man. I've got 2 daughters. It makes sense.
It's so much more real life.
And like he says, best case scenario is I'll get court-martialed. Worse, with how Starfleet is compromised, they'll go at my family.
Although the only thing I do a little bit question, I mean, it works for the show and you have to kind of move things along, but it was like it was the fact that everyone is so on board for taking the power away from these women and just going, it's like, your dad said that you're going to go see.
Yeah, I don't like that. And me and Picard have made a deal. You're going to stay here. And rightly, she calls him on it and he's like, no, piss off. I'm doing this.
So I should have been saying, fuck no, she's a member of Starfleet. You don't get to do that.
Well, he goes to it. This is a Starfleet problem. And she goes, I am Starfleet.
Exactly. No, it's really good stuff. All the interactions and everything between them.
And I also Shaw just fanboying as well. And like,
yes, with Geordie. I like that. It's like he's been frosty with everyone else, but Geordie's like, whoa.
But I still think this is, even though he's fanboying, I still think he would be the one at least who would say, it's like, well, you're not going to send one of my crew members off for no reason.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's always been lair of the law, and it would have been nice for someone to stick up for the agency again. A woman, it does fit. I'm sorry, I couldn't help but notice it was a female who was getting their power taken away in this situation. It just didn't. It felt a bit icky to me.
No, I can see that. I think maybe the reason Shaw doesn't step in is because they want her to be the one who stands up for herself. But like you say, from his character point of view, you'd think he'd be like, whoa, that's my officer.
You almost didn't have to include them. You could have just had it being between the Geordies. Yeah, he did. There's a line where he says like, oh, you're going to be going, like, we'll get the Forges and then we'll go.
No, I mean, was Shaw there when that was said?
Well, he references later that he's open. Right. That he's after we've dropped them off, they're going to go off in shuttlecraft, then we're going to go and face the music.
Yeah,
he does have a line like that, and you didn't have to include him at all. You could have just had it being Geordie saying that to Picard going along with it. So you've only got one person going along with it, as opposed to a mass.
I do like Geordie gets the line where he's talking to Picard and he says, "That young man is your son." Which to me feels like another Easter egg, because Kirk says something very similar to Spock in Star Trek 2 when they're crawling up the Jeffries tube. He says, "That young man is my son." And it just, the way they've structured the line just felt like that. I think I must have got my notes jumbled up here. It's one of the lines that I really like from Seven that you were talking about, Squee, when she's talking to Jackie. She says, "Oh, he's good with a drive-by poetic observation," which I just love that term there.
It's great.
And then let's get on to Data then. So it's Data, but it's not Data, and he's the itinerary, and it's Data, but it's Lal, but it's Law as well, and it's a Golem.
And it's also two things. It's Altonson. I thought it was Union's.
No, he's the one from season 1.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
wasn't
I'll go
the original Doctor Sung. This was his great grandson or whoever it was.
Because the way he said it was he gave data to him, whereas like
Sung's genetics are strong in the family, as we've seen from season 2 as well. And of
course we know every member of that family looks the same. That isn't even a question anymore. It was just a bit weird the way he was talking as if he invented data, and it just I don't know.
I think it was more talking about that he's created this new golem of data.
Yeah,
because the wording.
He gave Picard his golem, which was meant to be for him to live on forever.
No, I know, but there was a line where he says
now he's created this new thing, which is like part synthetic, part real living tissue, part android.
I understand that, but he talks about when he gave. There's a line where basically he says, when I gave Picard data to have on his ship. Like, there is a line.
Is he not talking about what he's given to this new being? Like he says, I've given it a bit of data, I've given it a bit of data. I thought that's what he was talking about.
He does say that. He does say that, but there's a line where he goes, after I gave you data, basically.
No, it's after I give you my golem. It's after I give you my golem, I started working on this.
I want to watch it back. Maybe I've misheard it then.
We'll go back to that one. We won't get.
You've got a moment where you do then have a montage between Geordi, Picard, and Sung all talking about parenthood.
Yeah, and it's legacy and parenthood and everything. And it's also showing the ships as well. So it's like the legacy of the Enterprise because you've got the Enterprise A. It's lovely.
There's only one thing he says, which, again, I'm going to question. He goes like, whereas I want to make something better, which mixes the best of data and of lore and of B4. What the fuck is B4 bringing to the party? I just want to know. Like, he's basically a slightly degenerated memory.
It's like the beta test version.
Yeah, so like you got the test version. I wanted to bring the best of all these great androids I built.
Also, you know what? Don't throw lore in there. This is a psychopath. Like
no, I could argue there is a good trait you could take from lore. The way he processes things. You don't have to say the personality bits where he's evil. You could take something from that. He is an evolved, complete android. But B4's fucking nothing. He was a prototype which didn't really work. Why are you taking anything from him?
But he was still a being. So I don't know. He's just trying to.
Also, you'd had data had downloaded his entire memory engrams.
So basically, all he's added to this is lore because Data already had all of Lal's memories and all of B4's or B4. Yeah, you've got to put B4 in to get back to Data because
but the
Data had gone.
But maybe I'm arguing semantics, but the way he words it is like I want him to have personality traits from all these.
Yeah, no, that is definitely what he was coming across with.
Yeah.
And so in a way, this is Data finally getting to be kind of human-ish, which is quite nice.
I've now made this android that ages naturally.
The ages naturally. So basically, I've made a human with yellow eyes.
Basically, I've made it so he doesn't have to put on the makeup, which he doesn't like anime, and pretend to be the same as he looks back in.
We're making him put the contacts in, though. So, I mean, we'll see how this plays out. At least they do draw attention to the fact of, yes, we've brought Data back to life again. So they're not shying away from that. Yeah, so that tells me
twice already.
If they kill him a third time, though, fuck them. I don't care.
I don't think they will this time.
I care about him being alive. I don't care about him dying again.
I'm with you.
The thing is now, if you kill him again, it's like, so is he coming back in a movie? Is he coming back in another series? It's just got. It's like you kill him again, and you're just going to be thinking, "Oh, when's he coming back? And what's going to be the excuse next time?" And
the last two times he dies, when you watch them back, they mean nothing now. It just means nothing.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't because it's not data. It's this new kind of thing. But I'm willing to let this one play out and see what they do with it. Then. Yeah, we get. I like the moment where you get Picard and Geordi arguing when the cloak turns on, and they both instantly realise it's the bloody kids at the same time.
I wouldn't nick. I honestly wouldn't nick steal from you. I would not do that to you.
Yeah, that was good.
Jack and John goes Sydney.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
And it's when LaForge goes over there when they're basically just about to blow up the ship by accident, and then and you've got Jack flirting with young LaForge, and he's like going, "Yeah, step away from my daughter."
Stay away from my
I really like that. And Geordie's in now. It's like, tell your mum we won't be home, so we're getting the crew back together.
Even when he says that, I'm thinking of like his wife in the episode for Leah Brahms. I'm going,
I was just wondering who's the mum. Is it actually going to be Leah?
I thought they pointedly didn't say that.
As you upgraded from the hologram version.
I will argue, I think it's only got to be because in All Good Things he talks about Sydney child. So it's certainly suggested this is the same.
I think so.
Relationship.
Yeah.
And then Riker holds off Starfleet, and this is where we get into the culmination of the episode. So he gets captured, and it turns out that it's by Vadik. And again, just great acting where she just goes, "Hi."
Yeah. Notice how she's there beating the hell out of him, puts a gun to his head, and then turns round and kills her own men.
Yeah.
Goes, "Hi."
We've also got the end to the closing of the loop with Jack and Picard before that.
Yes, sorry, you're right.
No, it's just I thought again, wonderful scene. But the list of things again, I'm going to do another list very quickly. Things he got from his mum: brave, loyal, far wiser than. These are the things he said. He lists the things he feels like he's got from mum. Then he lists these things that he feels like he's got from Picard. Now, why doesn't he think he got any of these from his mum? Brave, loyal, far wiser than he's got any right to be. He's basically saying his mum is none of those things by saying, I never knew I got before. It was just the weirdest word. I love the scene and I love what it represented. And it was a great thing to go. But don't list things that you're basically dissing, like you're backhandling.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know where I got my bravery from. My mum's a right pussy, you know.
It does put reckless in there.
Yeah, true.
Oh, and he says bullshit disease, which was that one I've got to hand him to. That was only from Picard. Everything else, though,
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it works thematically and dramatically, but you're right. You could nitpick.
He could have even said, I always thought I got those things from my mum because she exemplifies them. However, I realised I got a lot of it from you too.
Well, next episode, though, we're going to have Picard going, Beverly, do you know what Jack said about you? He said that he got all of the bravery from me.
All these things we're talking about happen in the space of 5 minutes.
They did.
At the end, it's so well done.
It's like,
it doesn't feel rushed.
Yeah, but it does sort of like make Warp Speed stupid again. Because
I noticed that.
Well, they're still at the museum. They're talking to Riker and going, we'll be coming in cloaked. We're 90 seconds away. And then they do more things on the ship before they even set off to Daystrom Institute.
Yeah,
so do a lot of things in 1.5 minutes. It's sort of
and it's like, how far away is this? Because warp speed isn't instantaneous. Like, it's got to be right next door if you're doing it in 90 seconds.
Yeah,
like,
I think
right next door in galactic terms.
I think it's all got to be in the solar system.
I've also got to throw it just because I loved it. So it was a bit ago, but it's like it's when Riker's Geordie's going like, well, if we do that, that'll violate that thing. I'll just get him to put it on my tab. So
that's good.
Picard. That's nice. But yeah, then
I do like we find out how they keep finding him, and we saw this in Prodigy.
I was going to say that. Yeah,
the ships all talk to each other now.
Yeah,
and that's nice.
They
that's
don't
really
need
nice
they don't need the sort of like transponders.
Yeah,
you know, like dropping the transponders has made it more difficult to track them, but getting a certain range and they'll just talk to each other.
Yeah. And also, silly bit though, and this might be a bit of a nitpick, but you get the bit where they beam them back on and they've lost Riker, and Worf says like, "We lost one friend in battle, but we have gained another." And then he steps out of the way to reveal Data, and Geordie's like, "Data," and it's like, No, you could see him. He's on a raised platform behind. There's no way you didn't clock that Data were there when they beamed
Worf is
in.
a mighty tall warrior and block.
And I don't know why I'm nitpicking everything else, but this bit I'm like, shut your whore mouth. It was brilliant. I loved it. It was just something about Geordie and Data.
It was a lovely moment. It was just the setup I thought was a bit.
I think in that moment I could have forgiven quite a lot just because I enjoyed that moment so much.
Yeah, I am deliberately nitpicking. It doesn't ruin my enjoyment
again,
of
I will
it.
throw out. There's another thing which they've sort of, and I know you'll do the red herring argument again, which is totally valid, but in the trailer we've already seen that, well, we know Law's, I mean, of course, the second I mention Law, we know he's going to make a guest appearance, but it's like, you've already seen the moment where...
Yeah, Law's... There's definitely a Law turn coming to this being, isn't there? Yeah, so we find out they took Picard's body, which... Is it to make Locutus? Is it because there's something in his DNA that's been passed on to Jack because they called Jack an asset as well?
Yeah.
So...
And they're still chasing getting Jack.
So it's something.
You could understand it first before Picard came into it, but we had flashbacks where they were chasing Jack before this, and they're still chasing Jack, not Picard. Yeah,
I mean, this is good that we haven't really got a working theory because it means that we're going to be surprised and we're going to be entertained.
We're still confused about what Jack actually is because, like you say, it's got to be the real Jack. Otherwise, all these moments with Picard that they're putting mean fuck all.
Yeah.
It's been pointless TV. And it's been quite a lot of TV.
Yeah.
So he's got to have been brainwashed or something, but there's something's got to have been done to him. And what has been done to him?
I think again, I'm just going to put out my Troy theory here. It doesn't explain everything, and there would have to be something else additionally to it. But maybe the voice calling to him was Troy. Maybe that's how they get to Troy and Riker back. Is because he's the one calling to him, and this other stuff's another thing. Maybe there's something happening with him.
That's the final reveal: is that Troy has also been captured, but. Just before that, Riker does say to the crew member, he says, how much of that goo shit did they pour into you? Which makes me think, are these not full changelings? These are like people, but the changelings have sort of gooped. I'm thinking the changelings have gooped into someone and they're controlling the person's body from within. Like the X-Files used to do with the black oil.
Yeah, but it's that thing. If Vedica's done this to these to control them, why does she just keep blowing them all away?
That's a good question.
I'll also throw in there, given that we've only got 4 episodes left of the series, that would leave that to explain away, as well as the changelings being able to go into solid bodies. So
I think we know that.
No. But what I'm saying is, yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is, they haven't explained it on screen. You've got the fact they'd have to fit that in. You'd have to, because it wasn't like they were a random crew member. They were LaForge, so they'd copied someone. So it can't be they've gone into the bodies there. So you'd have to explain that and that. It would be a lot to...
Yeah, and maybe it's just Riker throwing a line out there, but...
A lot of these episodes have been roughly 50 minutes, not counting the titles to roughly 50 minutes. So we've got,
TV hour, basically.
And that 3 hours and 20 minutes of TV, which is a lot of TV.
Yeah.
A long time to...
Oh, it's a long time,
stuff.
But...
That's long enough to do The Godfather.
But given all the story, the way it's set up, that is still to play out, I think having 2 things with the changelings would seem like a lot to
see, I don't think they're going to explain that anymore. I don't know
who Sophie is. I assume Ian does.
Yeah. Hi, Sophie. How are you doing?
I think the fact that Beverly said it's evolution, I think that's all you're going to get with that. So if you're waiting on something else, I wouldn't hold your breath for that one. But anyway,
but they do satisfy something by.
It's going to be a 12-issue comic, haven't they? as well.
Oh, I'm sure. But I don't want to have to read a comic to understand what's going on, so I'm happy with Evolution.
I'm not into that. If I've got to go to another media to understand the TV program I'm doing, the TV program hasn't done its job.
I agree.
Now, I'm just going to throw in that they did do what I wanted, which is that we now have all the pieces on the board. We've now got all the Next Generation crew, even though Troy has been in it very minimally. Next episode, you're all set to have them all in the show. And if they do that enough, and I would like them together before the very final episode, but at least we're going to have a decent amount of time with all the Next Generation in the episode.
No spoilers, but I think you're going to get that very soon.
I honestly think, because they have said that not everyone's going to survive and all that, and I don't think it's just Ro because she was a surprise. Worf has gone off to rescue Riker, and I think he's going to die rescuing Riker.
Ooh.
So Riker can be with Troy.
Let me say this.
Because it's been teased that he got killed already.
Elliot, you are not.
He's now a pacifist.
Elliot, you are not allowed to do this. They're not going to do what they did with fucking Star Wars. I just want one moment where all my original people are together, not in separate movies kept apart. I want them all together, all on the bridge, before anyone dies. If you're going to kill some people off, fair enough, but don't do it before I see them together.
I've just got a feeling that it's going to be war to save Riker so he can be with Troy. Worf was with Troy through.
Yeah, exactly. So, there would be a poetic thing to that, but
only once I've seen you all together do I allow you to die.
You're gonna get it, trust me. There's been leaked photos from next episode.
But I've got a feeling that.
Well, I don't know if it's next episode, but there has been leaked photos.
Fair enough. Actually, I don't mind knowing that because I just want that so much. It's got to happen.
Yeah, you will get it.
I've not seen any of these photos, so I'm really.
It might actually be a publicity shot.
So now you spoil episodes for me. I will feel no shame in broadcasting what happens tomorrow at 5:00 in our chat.
Only to him. He did it, not me. You can DM him.
I didn't do anything.
Okay, I'll message you privately.
Yeah,
there are photos out there. Is all I'm saying. Where
until you've watched Picard, I wouldn't read another message from me.
I won't.
I'm going to watch it as soon as I can.
I'm only joking. Yeah. We are actually very good at not spoiling it.
We are actually, yeah, we do well.
I must admit, I'm quite an absolutist just because my mind works overtime. So even if I've got a small clue, it's like it kind of annoyed a little bit. One of our buddies put in one group about like portals, and like we've never seen portals in Star Trek, so I would have really not liked to have heard that at all before I went in, just because it was such a wonderful idea to add to Star Trek. So I really
didn't like it with the first episode when I said like the soundtrack is just amazing.
I know it's such a minor thing.
You didn't like that.
No, yeah, because
I don't say anything now until everyone goes, I've seen it.
Which I really appreciate. I know I'm being to the nth degree.
No, I have no problem with that. I can understand. Like, I avoid social media. I'll read after I've watched it, I'll read articles, other people picking up things, and you see Easter eggs, and then you watch on your second and third watch, you sort of go, oh, bloody hell, like, I get that now.
I remember there was a day.
But I avoid anything for the future.
I think it was a couple of years ago. There was 2 new episodes of Star Trek, and WrestleMania had been on the night before, and I was like, I'm just gonna have to hide in a box until I can watch lots of telly tonight.
Yeah, it's like I don't even watch the trailers for the next episode.
No, I don't.
Never.
Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there then, and thank you to everyone who's still listening. This has probably been our longest episode.
Because you put up hi, Saif, but Jodie's put about the Recutters podcast next year. We're home to get back on the stage. Ideally.
We are for Sci-Fi Weekend. We're
I know I posted that as a thing the day that we got back, put it in your diaries, but if we will probably do something if we can't do on stage, we'll probably do a podcast.
We're hoping. We've been talking to the organisers about doing When Trek Goes Wrong at the movies as a follow-up to what we did last year. It nearly happened this year. It might happen next year. But if you're a fan of Sci-Fi Weekender and a fan of the podcast, if you want to go on their Facebook group and big us up, we're not going to...
And say, why weren't the Retrek boys doing a panel this year?
Well, some people have said that.
Year?
Yeah, it was nice. And it's not just our buddies. There's some people...
No, it's not just people we're good friends with.
It was really nice people, like, not met really... Well, seen them at the weekend, but not talked to them. It was really nice when they're going, oh, why aren't you on this year? Why aren't you?
Yeah. And even though in the chats, I'm not going to lie, it's our friends mainly who brought up the conversation, but then people were messaging going, yeah, I really love that panel. Yeah, that was great. Like, why isn't that back? And the short answer is, if we're actually on the stage, we'll do that. If we're not, we'll take over the pub again. And hugs should be for everyone, as Jodie says.
Hugs should be for everyone.
Not just for Crusher.
That's a really good philosophy for us to finish on.
Hugs aren't just for Crusher, hugs for everyone.
Yeah, not just for Christmas. If you want to get in touch with us, we're on Twitter at RetrekPod. You can email us retrekpod@gmail.com. You can find us on just about every social media thing out there. We're not on Mastodon yet. We're waiting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's
Retrek Model Studios, where Elliot's working on the Batmobile at the moment.
Just built the cockpit. You can check that out on my channel.
I can't wait to hear it purr. That's what I'm waiting for. The purr of the engine.
I got my new soldering iron today. It arrived. Didn't you hear what happened to me on Sunday?
I heard that your soldering iron had taken a bit of damage.
Yeah, blew up with enough force to sever its cables, took out a power pack, blew me Fire TV stick on a totally different circuit. So
took out the whole lights in the neighborhood.
My electric, electric.
At that moment, it cut to New York, like from Friends, where just all the power goes down.
I really had to cancel tonight's broadcast because I got my new soldering iron.
And I'm just going to throw out another plug for something I'm doing at the weekend as well, which is the all effing wrestling community. I'm doing a podcast where we're going to be talking about the greatest British wrestlers of all time. Ooh. So I have to go and Google some obscure British wrestlers so I know what I'm talking about on Saturday night.
I thought talking about at the weekend, us going to celebrate our good friend Becky.
We're doing that Friday. I've got the podcast Saturday.
Will you be in any state to podcast Saturday?
Absolutely. It's 10 o'clock Saturday night. I will be absolutely fine.
And it's lovely to hear you on a wrestling podcast. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a quick plug then while we're on it. The Dr. Squee Show, Tuesday, 6 to 8, sw20radio.co.uk. We've just finished Mindful March, and you can catch all those interviews at drsquee.com, which will take you to my YouTube page. And we're just about to actually go into a load of interviews from the Sci-Fi Weekender. So just on an interview with Madam Misfit, which is on the YouTube channel. It's going to be on the radio next week. I've got authors and loads of people from the Weekender coming up, actually. So it's going to be really lovely.
Fantastic. So check that out. Thank you for anyone.
With Madam Misfit.
It was, yes.
It was lovely. And thanks everyone for joining in and really boosting it. It's really great when you get some interaction.
So, if anyone's listened right to the end of this, thank you very much. We'll be back next week to talk about Dominion, which if that doesn't have Jeffrey Combs, I'll be a little bit annoyed.
I just hope this show didn't drag on. See, subtle.
LLA. Thanks for trekking with us this time. We will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Goodbye.